This is TradeFlow News, bringing you relevant news and insights from around the world. TradeFlow News, enabling trade for SMEs and economies worldwide.
These are some of the key topics that we will be looking into in today's program.
First, let's take a look at the overnight headlines which are impacting the commodity markets.
Global oil prices steadied on Tuesday as the prospect of OPEC Plus maintaining oil supply curbs at its June 2 meeting and hopes of strong U.S. summer fuel demand balanced concern about higher for longer U.S. interest rates. On Monday, oil rose over 1% in muted trade owing to public holidays in Britain and the United States, as hopes of strong fuel demand with the start of the U.S. summer driving and vacation season providing support. The July contract for Brent, the global benchmark, rose 17 cents or 0.2% to $83.27 a barrel by 0810 GMT. U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude was at $78.79, up $1.07 or 1.4% from Friday's close, having traded through a U.S. holiday to mark Memorial Day without a settlement.
Saudi Arabia, the world's biggest oil exporter, may cut prices for most crude grades it sells to Asia in July, the first cut in 5 months, as Middle East benchmarks and margins for Asian refiners have weakened, refining sources said. The July official selling price, OSP, for flagship Arab light crude is expected to fall by 30 to 50 cents a barrel, a Reuters survey of 5 refiners showed, after hitting a 5-month high in June. The potential price reduction for Asia, which accounts for 82% of Saudi's oil exports, underscores the pressure faced by OPEC producers as non-OPEC supply continues to grow while the global economy faces headwinds.
Moving on to the top news in the energy sector.
Texas daily power consumption set a record for the month of May for the 6th time this month, the state grid operator said on Monday, as homes and businesses fired up air conditioners during a heat wave. The Electric Reliability Council of Texas, which operates most of the state's power grid for 27 million customers, said demand soared to a preliminary 77,126 megawatts (MW) on Monday. This broke the former record for the month of May of 74,997 megawatts set earlier in the day. Analysts expect electricity consumption will hit an all-time high this summer amid economic and population growth in Texas and rising demand for power from data centers, artificial intelligence and cryptocurrency mining. The grid's all-time peak was 85,508 megawatts on August 10, 2023.
European Union countries approved a law on Monday to impose methane emissions limits on Europe's oil and gas imports from 2030, pressuring international suppliers to cut leaks of the potent greenhouse gas. Methane is the main component of the natural gas countries burn in power plants and to heat homes. It is also the second biggest cause of climate change after carbon dioxide, and fuels global warming when it escapes into the atmosphere from leaky oil and gas pipelines and infrastructure. EU countries' agriculture ministers, who, in common with all ministers, have the power to approve laws on any topic, gave their governments final approval to the policy at a meeting in Brussels, meaning it can now enter into force. Only Hungary voted against it. Next, we have the top news in metal markets. Prices of base metals rose on Tuesday, supported by prospects of interest rate cut by the European Central Bank, a weaker dollar and China's moves to help the property sector. 3-month copper on the London Metal Exchange rose 1.2% to $10,448.50 per metric ton by 0819 GMT. The most traded July copper contract on the Shanghai Futures Exchange closed up 0.9% at 84,600 yuan, $11,673.96 a ton, snapping a 4-session losing streak.
Gold prices edged down on Tuesday, while investors awaited key U.S. inflation data that could offer clues on how soon the Federal Reserve can cut interest rates. Spot gold fell 0.3% at $2,342.80 per ounce, as of 0732 GMT, after rising about 1% on Monday. U.S. gold futures were up 0.4% at $2,343.80.
We will now look at the top news in the agricultural sector.
Chicago wheat futures rose nearly 3% on Tuesday to their highest level since last July on concerns that adverse weather in top exporter Russia is reducing yields and tightening global supply. Soybean and corn futures also gained. The most active wheat contract on the Chicago Board of Trade was up 2.9% at $7.17 minus 1/4 a bushel, as of 0424 GMT, after rising as high as $7.20 earlier in the session. Prices have leaped more than 35% from a 3-1/2-year low of $5.24 a bushel in March, when Russia was shipping record amounts of grain and appeared set for another bumper harvest this year.
That is all for today's news on commodity markets. Stay tuned to TradeFlow News as we continue to provide you with more updates. We also invite you to follow us on Twitter at TradeFlow News, which allows you to watch our program on your mobile device or desktop to receive information from there.